visits, sometimes other medical providers that they have to get to, sometimes even work. So one thing that's smart to do is to have rental insurance in your own auto insurance policy. So that's something that you can talk to your insurance provider and make sure you get that in there. If you don't, most adverse insurance companies, the party that it's at fault, their insurance carrier will also usually kick in and provide a reasonable amount of time in a rental vehicle. They'll pay for a reasonable amount of time. That can be a very short period of time, though, so you want to make sure that you're contacting an attorney to see what your options are in that circumstance.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. The next question we had was, if I'm in a car accident with another party and that party leaves the scene of the accident before the police arrive, or before I can obtain their information, what should I do?
This actually happens quite often, people that are leaving the scene of an accident after they cause it because they're afraid of the consequences that they may have. Another reason that it's vitally important to look at your insurance policy closely is that if you do not have uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage, specifically in this instance uninsured, you may be out of luck in this circumstance. But if you did get that uninsured motorist coverage, which is an option you can have in your insurance policy, and most people do have that, then you can, well, the first thing to do in an accident is to call the police and make sure that they take a report. Try to gather as much evidence as you can, see if there's other witnesses that we can track down this person. Call an attorney who may be able to have some resources of looking up where this person was, if there was any witness statements. But you always have your own insurance policy to fall back on, which is your uninsured motorist policy, which would compensate you in what we call the phantom vehicle type of situation.
Gotcha. Okay. Next question we have is, if I'm involved in an accident with a person that lives in another state, what should I do?
Again, you want to first make sure that you have the police come out to the scene of the accident, because in this kind of circumstance, we have an individual who lives in another state. We want to make sure we have the correct information from them. So we need to get their name, their date of birth, their policy that they have, where they live, address. Those kind of things are important, and the police will take that. And actually, most of the time when there's an auto accident and the police come to the scene, they have an information sheet that they exchange with the parties who have been involved that will list on there the name, address, all the identifying information that you will need. You can then take that sheet and bring it directly to an attorney who will be able to track down that person's insurance coverage, send them a notice, open up a claim for you, and even if it's out of state, get that taken care of. Just of a note, typically you need an attorney that practices in the state where the accident occurred. So if you're in another state, say you're in California and get in an accident, you're going to typically need a California attorney. If you're in Arizona, you need an Arizona attorney. Another attorney in another state can actually handle a claim, but not to the point of actually filing a lawsuit, which
Gotcha.
So that's how that works.
Okay, all right. And the final question we have is, if I loan my car to a friend and they're in a serious accident, what happens in that scenario?
That's actually something that occurs also from time to time. That it's a serious situation where someone has loaned their vehicle out to another party, and that party has gotten into an accident, causing that accident. What you need to be aware of is that your insurance follows the vehicle. So even though you were not driving your vehicle, your insurance policy is going to be up for examination and grabs by the person who
Okay.
was injured by that.
Okay.
So that's the first method, and then the second method can always go after the policy of the person who was actually driving. So that would be the secondary policy.
Okay. Well, that was the last of the questions. If you've been watching the video, first want to thank you for your time, and obviously if you have any questions directly, all you have to do is post them to the comments below. John will get back to you as soon as possible. Clearly, if you have an immediate need, just reach out to him directly. John, I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ryan.
Today we're with John Kelly. John Kelly is a personal injury attorney located in Phoenix, Arizona. He's agreed to answer some online questions specifically related to car accidents. To those of you, if you've posted one of those questions, you're going to have your answers right away. If you've personally been in a car accident, you can reach out to John directly, or he's also agreed that you can just simply post your questions that you have directly related to your case or potential case at the bottom of this video. With that said, John, I want to go ahead and go into some of these questions, and I'll start with the first one. How long do I have to file a car accident claim?
Yeah, in Arizona, every state has a little bit different laws with this, and the law that we're talking about is the state's statute of limitations, the limitation of when you can bring a lawsuit. So in Arizona, generally, and there are some exceptions to this, in Arizona, generally, after an auto accident, you'll have 2 years to actually bring the lawsuit. Now, if one of those exceptions, which is kind of a big one, which I'll discuss, is if a minor is involved in the vehicle, so someone under 18. And in that case, the person actually has 2 years to bring the lawsuit after they turn 18. So this time starts tolling after they turn 18. There are some other little, wrinkles in the law in that area, so it's a good idea to talk to an attorney. And even if you think the statute of limitations has run in your case, you may want to just check on with an attorney to really sit down and evaluate the case in detail. Okay, all right, makes sense. Next question. It's probably fairly common to you as well. My insurance company has denied my claim. What is the next step? Okay, so this one actually is an interesting question because the individual is saying that their own insurance company has denied their claim. I often get the question, if the other insurance company denies my claim, what are my options then? And that answer is typically, well, we can push forward and file a lawsuit and possibly even go to trial, arbitration. There's a lot of other things that can happen there. But if your own insurance company is denying your claim, then I'm going to make the assumption that this is an uninsured claim, meaning that the lawsuit was actually towards a person. The person that caused the accident didn't have the insurance to cover your injuries and damages, so you had to go to your own insurance company and say, pay my injuries and damages based on someone else's fault. And if they deny that claim, then you can demand arbitration. And there's usually an arbitration agreement that's kind of in your policy. So what seems like is a simple question gets very complicated quickly. So you'll definitely, want to consult with an attorney about that and go over your policy. So the place to start is with your own insurance policy. Okay, all right. This one's a little longer. I went to dinner with my wife and had a few drinks. On my way home, my car was hit by another driver. The police showed up and arrested me for DUI. The person was arrested for DUI. I resolved my DUI case. Do I have a legal case against him since he caused the accident? Absolutely. Just because you were driving under the influence or were convicted of that doesn't mean that you have no claim against someone who injures you. And the question is, who is at fault for the injury and or the accident? And it sounds like, in this case, the other party was found to be at fault. Now remember, there can be comparative fault. So In this instance, I would imagine the other party is going to claim that they weren't 100% at fault for this because the driver was, driving under the influence, and they may have played a part in the accident. So that's something that kind of gets unraveled as the case develops. But generally, if you were not at fault for the accident, you still have a good injury claim.
Okay, all right. This next one is, I live in vacation in Costa Rica. I was in a car accident at the time. They charged my car a little over $2,000 to cover the damages. But now I'm receiving demand letters for $4,500 more. What do I do?
Well, one of the things that really makes this case somewhat interesting is that it's in another country, so there's a complete different jurisdiction that's going to kind of cover the legal aspects of the case. What I'm assuming happened here is there was an accident in a rental vehicle, and the rental company had to pay out, their insurance company had to pay out for the injuries to the other person, so they're subrogating and trying to go after the renter. And that may be completely legal. Now, why they're actually going after more money than they had originally gone after is something that there would have to be some exploration of finding out where all these bills are coming from, what the medical expenses were of the other party, who the insurance companies are that are involved with this. So that's something that definitely, we want to make sure we get to the bottom of it so that this individual can have an absolute resolution of the case and not worry about more and more bills coming down the road and not knowing why they're coming.
Okay, I understand. And this is the final question here. This was posted. When I was walking my dog, I was hit by a man with no insurance. He was arrested. I have some medical insurance. He's covered through a lawsuit.
Yeah, with someone who runs you over on the road.